welcome back to my channel. I'm Rachel, the owner and creator here at the Eclectic Cottage in Spokane, Washington. Happy Friday, more importantly, happy first day of September. I'm really excited. Fall is a great season and I absolutely love it. So I'm excited to see it finally on the horizon. And for today's video, I do have kind of a fall themed little vignette that I put together for you. I took 3 items out of my stash and gave them all kind of a coordinating makeover so that they would fit in with some of the other items that I've already created for fall. I hope you like them. I'm excited to show them to you and I can't wait to hear what you guys think. And I hope you'll stay tuned for the video. So let's get started. Here's just a quick sneak peek of the 3 items that I pulled from my stash to make over for today's video. So my first project for today is this little metal planter that I picked up not too long ago, and it was kind of multicolored and I wanted to be able to distress it. So I took it outside and gave it one good even coat of Rustoleum 2X spray paint in that espresso color to start. Then I went in with DIY's color called Aviary, which is this beautiful kind of sagey green, and it's just a fantastic color for all year long. And I did give this 2 good even coats of the paint, pouncing it on with my stiff bristle brush just to try and avoid those brush stroke marks that I really don't care for. So once that was done and it was completely dry, I went ahead and distressed it. Now I have to tell you, I don't know where my mind was, but I started to put Big Top on this and I was about halfway done and realized, oh my gosh, I wanted to distress this. So I took it to the sink and washed all of the Big Top off of it. So it's still kind of wet as I'm doing the distressing, and it actually kind of helped the distressing process be a little easier with my damp shop towel, and the paint came off a little better. So I'm thinking next time I might just hose my stuff down before I go ahead and distress, just to reactivate the paint a little bit. We'll see. Probably not for everything, but definitely helped on this. Anyway, I just went over all the high points with that damp shop towel to distress back to that beautiful brown color. And then once it was dry again, I went over it with a good coat of DIY's Big Top to seal the paint. And the reason I did this is I wanted to go ahead and dark wax this piece. And the great thing about having Big Top underneath the dark wax is that you can really rub away the wax and not worry about going back into the paint or taking anything back off again. So this is me going in with the DIY dark wax, just trying to get it down into all the nooks and crannies and the little grooves to really give this more of an aged look, a little bit of patina, just make it look a little grungier and give it a little bit more character. So I just kind of work it into all those crevices, and then I take my shop towel and just wipe back any excess. And like I said, the Big Top underneath when you're wiping back makes it so that you really don't have to worry about taking off any paint or anything like that. So give it a good wipe and then this guy's done. So if you've been following me for any length of time, you know I love birds. And so when I found this beautiful little picture, I just had to have it. And I wanted to redo the frame, but I wanted to bring out the colors of the birds more. So what I decided to do, because DIY doesn't really have a color that is the specific orangey red that was in the painting, so I decided to go ahead and mix my own. So I am using DIY's Summer Crush and DIY's paint called Marquee to create kind of this orangey red color. Now I totally second guessed myself. I painted one part of the frame with the new color that I'd created was scared, and so I wiped it back off, and I decided to try and go with DIY Summer Crush. Once it was dry, I realized the paint that I had created actually really would have been better. So I decided to go for it and just use my color and painted right over that Summer Crush with the color that I had made. So once that was done and it was dry, I decided I needed to distress this to bring back a little bit of that brown, and it brought a little bit of the orange through, which was kind of a nice effect. And so this is me just sanding it with 220 grit sandpaper to bring back some of that wood tone, and then giving a good wash before I seal my paint. So once it's dry, after I wash it all down really well, I'm going in with DIY's clear wax and just putting one good even coat of wax all over this frame to seal that paint, and then wiping back any excess with a shop towel. Really simple process, and see how it deepens and darkens that color. And then it looked absolutely perfect with the birds, so I was really happy. Once that was completely done and my wax was applied all over, I decided to go in with a little bit of dark wax just to kind of go down into those nooks and crannies and those grooves to give them just a little bit more depth. So I just took my small brush and dipped it into the straight wax and put it into those grooves and just worked it back and forth until it had a nice look to it. And then I wiped back any excess with my shop towel. I went over the outside of the frame with the dark wax as well, just thinned with a little bit of mineral spirits to make it go on a little easier and a little easier to wipe back off. Then it was time to remove my tape, clean up the edges with a little screwdriver, spray it down with a little bit of Windex, and clean up my glass. And then this piece is done, and I absolutely love how it came out. My third and final project is this adorable little three-legged side table that I picked up not too long ago. I love these little tables because they're such a great opportunity for some color without overwhelming a space. So I am going to be painting this in a pretty yellow, but first I need to give it a bath. It really was dirty. So I wiped it down with some Crud Cutter. Then I followed that with some clean water to wipe off any residue. And then the top of it, the finish was just a little bit old and aged. So I did sand that down a little bit to make it smooth before I started painting. Once that was done, it's on to the paint. And for this particular project, I am using Sweet Pickins milk paint in this beautiful, beautiful color called Love Bug. It's this gorgeous buttery yellow. I thought this would be perfect to go in some of the vignettes I've created recently, and particularly with the sunflowers that I've been using. So I have to tell you, this little table did get 4 coats of the paint, mainly because I really like to give it a good sand once it's done, and I like to make sure I've got plenty of paint on my piece before I do that. So I did go over it 4 times. Thankfully, it's just a small little table, so it didn't take too much time. So once I'm done with my 4 coats of paint and it's all nice and dry, I took it outside and with 220 grit sandpaper on my rotary sander on the very lowest setting, I went over all of the flat spots first and just gave them all a nice sand, and then very carefully went around the biggest parts of the spindle and the top. I am going for a pretty distressed look on this table because I want to put it next to the black chair that I did in my last video, and I distressed that pretty heavily. So if you don't like the distressed look, you can absolutely just carefully by hand go over the piece with a little bit of 220 grit sandpaper and not sand down to the wood like I am here. I just happen to really like this look. Once that was done and I was happy with it, I took it back inside, wiped it down with a damp shop towel just to get rid of any sanding dust so that I could move on to my next step, which is applying some transfers. Now, if you did watch my last video, I did a chair that had this transfer set used on it, and I wanted to create this table to kind of go to the side of that chair. So I'm using the same transfers. This is IOD's Painterly Florals transfer set. It's beautiful, has peonies and lavender and these gorgeous sunflowers in it. Once I figure out my placement, I start laying down the first layer, which are the leaves. And so here I am just putting the first two leaves down. And then I wanted another one, but I wasn't sure where. So I just kind of held the sunflower over it so I could figure out where exactly I wanted that leaf to be. And then it's finally time to place my sunflower. So when I lay a transfer over a surface where there's going to be part of it going over the edge, I always like to lay the edge part down first and then work my way across the surface of the piece. So you can see here, I did have a couple places where the transfer just really didn't want to stick very well. And when that happens, just keep trying. Lay your transfer sheet back down. As long as part of it is still stuck to your piece, you should be able to lay it back down and rub that transfer until it comes off, and it should go right down exactly where it's supposed to be. Then it's on to the second sunflower, and of course, I want to put the leaves down first, so I'm making sure I'm placing them exactly where I want them, using the sunflower as a guide. And once that's done, it's time to place the sunflower and get that transfer rubbed on as well. Now, if you've never used a transfer before, it is a relatively simple process. They stick on really well. You just push them down, rub them in using either that transfer stick. I like to use my fingernail a lot, and then just peel back that vellum as you go. Being careful, if there's anything stuck to your vellum when you lift it, you just lay it back down, re-rub your area until everything is laid down. Then you just want to burnish your piece in with either your hand or take the plastic and rub that over your transfer just to make darn sure everything is stuck exactly where you want it. Then it's on to sealing my paint. And for this, I know it looks a little scary. It almost looks like I'm washing this poor thing with mud, but I'm using Sweet Pickins oil wax in dark for this piece. So I'm just taking a chip brush and painting a thin layer of that dark oil wax all over this piece, walking away for about 15 minutes and then coming back with some shop towels and wiping back any excess. I love the look of the dark oil wax over this paint, and I absolutely love it with these transfers, and I think this piece turned out really, really cute. You guys think of my projects for today's video? I hope you liked them and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and then just hit that little notification bell so you don't miss anything. And I'd also love to hear which of the projects your favorite was for this go around. I think for me, probably the little yellow table. I absolutely love how that one came out. Just remember too that if you need any of the products that were featured in today's video, video. I carry the full line of DIY plus Sweet Pickins milk paint at my website at www.theeclecticcottagespokane.com, and it's down in the description below as well. For Tuesday's what's coming next. For Tuesday's video, I'm really not quite sure exactly what I'm going to have for Tuesday at this point. My husband and I are still kind of debating on whether or not we want to go on a junk run on Sunday, but I have projects here that I'm kind of finishing, so it could be a thrift flip, it could be a furniture flip, it could be me taking down some of my displays and kind of showing you what I'm doing behind the scenes here in the cottage, so we'll just see. I hope you'll join me any way you cut it for Tuesday though, so I'd love to see you back here then. I hope you have a great weekend, enjoy the holiday, and thanks so much for being here. Bye.